And welcome everybody to Two Gray Goatees and a Whistle. I'm joined once again by Coach Gonzo and Coach T. And in this episode, we are going to talk about football and practices, how practices go, and the evolution of practices and how things have changed since when we've played back in the leather helmet days. So, we're going to do a quick overview. We're going to talk about how practice has evolved, how rugby has influenced tackling, talk about how mental training has kind of been is starting to get more part of sports in general, and kind of how the advance in sports medicine has kind of led us to where we're at right now with practice and how we conduct practices. So in our first segment, we're going to talk about old school versus new school. So we're going to contrast from when we played football. So for me, it would have been early 90s. Nick would have been
middle 80s.
Middle 80s. T, you would have been
early 90s. I think.
Yeah. So early 90s. So we're going to talk about daily full contact versus limited contact practices. Remember the days of no water breaks or limited water breaks?
One water break.
Yeah, one water break, Yeah. To now it's like hydration, like key. Toughness.
Like now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So toughness by trauma. I don't know if trauma, but maybe. Yeah. Versus toughness through technique. I discussed the mental of earning it back than the structured performance metrics of today. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about, how things have kind of changed and the reasoning behind it. So this next segment is going to be drill me or kill me. All right. So I want to talk real quick about your guys' favorite drill. Okay. Back in the day. All right. So I want you guys to think back. Okay. Gonzo, we'll start with you first.
God,
You want me to come back to you?
Yeah.
TD, you got one? Favorite drill?
I would say probably my favorite drill, because I love to hit, would be it's illegal now. I mean, you can do it, but you got to go short if you do it, and you don't call it bull in the ring anymore. You just call out, you're a guy in the middle.
Yes.
Coach would call out random dudes' numbers, and you're on a swivel, just hopping around, looking to take a dude on and not get killed. I love smacking helmet.
Right. Okay. So bull in the ring. Right.
So I love bull in the ring also, but we did what was called the gauntlet, and everybody was made two single file lines, and one guy on one end and other guy on the other end. You run all the way around to the other side of your line, and then you would meet each other right in the middle, in between the two lines.
Oh, and just
one would be carrying the football, one would be tackling, and it was fun.
Yeah, these were, for me, I liked Oklahoma, whatever it was, that was fun. In me, I liked scrimmage, when we would actually get to scrimmage and get to hit. Obviously we couldn't cuss the quarterback. That was still a thing, but the actual scrimmages and stuff, that was kind of the fun part. So yeah, so that was our favorite. What's our least favorite? The one that the least favorite, the one that you hated, dreaded. So if you saw the practice schedule and you're like, God damn, I don't want to do this. Gonzo.
Daisy chain.
What's it called?
Daisy chain.
Daisy chain. What's that?
But fart lickers, whatever like we would do the centipede, where the back guy you'd blow the whistle.
Oh, like some people call it Indian runs or something too, I think. Is that when the people jog and that person at the end has to run to the front, sprint to the front? Yeah.
I still like making the kids do that one though. So.
Yeah, that's a kind of a good one.
Yeah, we mix that in. We do it at the college with the girls. We give them a 8-pound basketball, and they have to jog and like hand it over their head. So like they're throwing a long pass, and like they jog, and the girl has to sprint to the front, and then they hand it all the way to the back. The person has to run with it anyway. But that's
we do that with. Yeah, we do that with the football, going from the front to the back, and they drop the football. They drop it. They do 5 push-ups.
They do 5 push-ups. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you, T?
I think my worst, it wasn't a drill. It was more of a refocusing is what they called it. If there was stuff wasn't going the way the coaches wanted, we'd do a dirty dozen. And a dirty dozen would be a hunt for us. This is what sucks. So you'd sprint 100 yards, you'd backpedal 100 yards, then you'd have to bear crawl 100 yards. And that was one. And you'd have to do 12 of those.
Yeah,
I hated bear crawls too.
Hey,
but
check this out, honey. I was late for. Literally, my mom's house is right across the street from the high school in Mountain Home, right? And
okay.
I'm laying on the couch. I got up in time, and I just was like, oh, I got a few more minutes. I'll lay on the couch, and I could hear them doing Tiger Jacks because Mountain Home is the Tigers, and I just jump up, and I'm like 10 minutes late. So so they gave me a dirty dozen, but they were like, I did my 10. And then the next practice, when guys got in trouble, they changed it from sideline to sideline, from instead of from goal line to goal line. So I did my 10, my dirty dozen, from end line to end line, and then they switched it for everyone else to go from sideline like a gasser. So they only had to sprint the sideline, backpedal sideline, bear crawl the sideline, and I went the
My
distance
gosh.
of the field. I went 100
Our
yards.
coaches called it. Our coaches called it the terrible three, but instead of the back pedal, we had to do crab walk. Yeah. So you had to do crab walk, you had to do bear crawl, crab walk, and then you did your 100-yard sprint. So by the time you were sprinting, your arms were like hanging down at the side. You couldn't even move them.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
remember some of my
Jeez.
buddies talking about this one in college that they did. It was and I think they did at the beginning of the year to kind of gauge like how much conditioning, how in shape you were. They'd have you sprint 100 yards, do 10 push-ups, sprint back, do 9 push-ups, sprint back, do 8, and they had basically all the way down to 1. You had to sprint 100 yards and you had to do it, and then they gave you a certain amount of time you had to do it in. You know, for me, I hated any kind of running, but the one that really was, we had a little hill. So there in the Grand, it was like we had our practice field, and then there was like a hill, and it was probably, you know, at a, it wasn't a huge grade, but it was enough. I mean, you could walk up it because everybody walked up because that's where the track was at. So you would walk up this, go up this hill. We did linemen did all kinds of stuff in this. We had to like block, get, somebody to have a shield or something. We had to block up the hill with somebody, dead weight trying to drive them up the hill. But we had to do bear crawls up and turn around and come down. That sucked. I didn't like that one. I hated any kind of bear crawls. That's probably my.
At Boise
So we
State,
had 2 hills in Powers.
before they had the new stadium expansion, and they had the asphalt ramps that went back down to the front of the varsity center. If you've ever been to the stadium at Bronco Stadium, but Joe Ken was our strength and conditioning coach, and we would do wheelbarrow races up it. And so you'd have a guy holding you by your thighs, and your legs are, and you'd be wheelbarrowing and trying to run as fast as you can on your hands going up it. But then we'd also go to the top and then come back down with gravity pulling you forward, going downhill as fast as you could. Like, I don't know how many pairs of gloves I wore out on the asphalt, like, but
My gosh.
we figured out ways of like, if you cross your legs and like behind the guy's back, and if he's up close enough, you could bend your knees and brace your calves up against his back and kind of like use your core and lean back against him, and you could just skip across the ground. Yeah. Oh, but it was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. Upper decks at Boise State were a monster too. Like going up to the top of the upper deck and then a 3 foot wall, and you just like it houses yell, get to the top of there, get up there, and you get up there, then you just look down and everything's going whoa, 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 because you're out of breath. You just
The height
to the
thing.
top of the. Oh man.
Like, God, don't faint fall.
Yeah. I don't know how many guys I've seen get up to the top and just projectile over the edge. And then he'd like, get down to the bottom, get ready to go. We're going another one. We're doing more upper decks.
My gosh.
Yeah. And then we do upper decks, and then we'd go from upper decks and we'd get down to the bottom. And then we did a parade of walking lunge, 400 meters into the weight room to go lift. It was insane. I remember my legs were just throbbing and like so tight from just being so pumped up.
Oh my gosh. No, that's no. So let's
Yeah,
go
it was
ahead and
crazy.
let's talk a little. That's crazy. So let's go ahead and talk about things. Let's think about not just tackling. Let's think about how drills were ran, because most of us here, most of us have been coaching for at least 15, 20 years or longer. I mean, how long, Gonzo? When did you start coaching?
97.
97. When did you start?
Holy! I started in 2002.
Yeah, and I started like 99, 2000 was like my first time. So we have experience. So let's think about over the past 20 years, How has the coaching or practice changed? What are some things that you guys have seen?
Water on the field.
Water on the field. Okay.
Water on,
Kids
Yeah.
yeah.
Water on the field.
Kids being able to just leave a drill or leave
and get
anything
water.
because to get water, because before it was like scheduled time, hey, this is our water break, we're working until then. And now if you did that and a kid fell out, obviously you're going to get a lawsuit or someone's going to come after your job. So now it's like, if you need water, it's over there, go get it, come back to the drill. And back in the day, that wasn't even a thing. Drink your spit.
I
What do
know.
you need water
You had
for?
5 minutes.
At least when
Seniors
I
get
was
a drink
coming up.
first, and
Yeah.
then freshmen
Yeah.
drink last.
Yeah. Put some
Yep.
on you, put some in you,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah, and yeah, they would.
Yeah.
I remember when I was playing, it was like we had the the water trough, whatever. You had the pipe, and it had like 8 or 9 holes, 10 holes, and then you always had the jackass who would flick it, and it caused it to shake where you're trying to get your water out of the stream, out of stream of water coming out. So that's one of the things that have changed. But again, there was players dying. It was like, I can't remember if it was a college or a pro player overheated down, and heat in the South, that's a whole other level, like the heat indicator and stuff like that. So yeah, water is a huge one.
I mean, having to put water on your practice plan. I mean, you need to make sure you have water breaks written on your practice plan to save your ass. I mean, I mean, that's
for sure, 100%.
I want to know how many times my coach had water breaks on here.
Never. Like after practice, pre-practice, post-practice. That's when you get water.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember usually what they did with us is like after we did some kind of conditioning drill, like a station drill or something like that, they'd say, hey, you got 2 minutes to get water or whatever it was, and then get back.
We only got one though.
Yeah, but it was usually one, and that was about it. Yeah, and it was, there was no, hey, I got to go and get water. So that was a thing back then. Okay, well, so water's one.
I know that it's different now because people that talk to me about coaching, like they're asking like when they're asking this year, when you guys starting doubles, and I'm like, doubles? What's that? We don't do doubles anymore.
Or daily doubles.
Yeah. There's no more. When I was in high school in Mountain Home, we did triples. So we came in the morning session, we came back for noon unpadded, but it was a million degrees outside, and you're still tired from the practice, and then had to be back for the night session too. So we did 3 practices in one day.
And there was no time limit how long you could practice either.
Yeah. We were out there for 2.5 hours sometimes, maybe longer, depending on how pissed the coach was.
Mm-hmm.
There are schools. Hagerman's one of them. They still do daily doubles, and I'm just like, or 2 a days, whatever you want to call them. I think when I was in LeGrand, we called it daily doubles, but yeah, it was. There's still, we still have coaches that have the old school mentality that this is how we did it, and they still run things like that, and they still have the old school mentality. It's like, well, this is how we used to do it, so we're still doing it. Like, okay, so I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, you don't have to have 2 sessions where you're just killing them. So what else has changed?
I was telling Gonzo about it. I think I told you too, Huddy. Like we just got an update from OSAA that now our first 2 practices before we can go full gear have to be just helmets. Before it was just one day, and our coach in our meeting just Friday told us that now it's 2 days, helmet, shoulder pads, full gear, we can go. So that's something new that the OSAA has put in, that now it's 2 days with helmets to get them acclimated to having the helmet on again. And it's just the way the world is now, I guess,
Yeah, and I remember I thought our first couple of days had to be helmets or at least shells.
We could go with
or
first day helmet,
suits.
and then we go with chicken suits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, then
we couldn't hit till the 4th day.
Yeah, we couldn't hit till the 4th day. I remember that. I remember defense. I was like, because I was the defensive coordinator. I'm like, I mean, we can do installs, but I'm not really going to do. Yeah. I mean, there's no really, can't really go out and start smacking each other. So, you had to be careful, walk that fine line. Another thing that I know that happens, and I know Oregon does this, is the heat index. I know that first the head coaches have to, and they have to report it to the OCA like the day that they had their practice, whatever time, what the heat index, and if that heat index is at a certain level, it's like, nope, you can't have practice.
We had to turn it in every month when I was in Oregon.
Was it every month?
And if we missed a day, our school could get fined for it.
Right. Yeah.
So I was last hour every day looking at the heat.
Yeah, and you had to do it up to, and I think when it hit October, I don't think you had to do it anymore, but I think like through August and like first, at least part of September, you had the heat index. So that's something that's definitely has changed. And so
don't see that in Idaho though.
Yeah, Idaho doesn't have the heat index thing. No, Oregon's old.
We have the smoke index here.
Oh yeah,
for when
the smoke. Yeah, that happens everywhere. No, hell, that wasn't a thing back then.
Oh, jeez.
So in LeGrand, so anybody's ever been LeGrand and into that valley? It's an ag valley. So all the practice for taking care of your fields was they burn them at the end of the season. So around September, they're lighting up the fields, and they didn't care which way the wind blew. The wind was blowing into town. Nope, didn't care. Yeah, and there was days we were out there having practice and then just choking down smoke, and it was heavy sometimes. And it's like, well, we got to take care of our field. So they're out there just burning it. You don't see much field burning over here in Idaho, but that was a common practice in that valley.
Probably the biggest thing, though, we all know is the head injury.
Yeah. So concussions.
How much that has changed from even when I was coaching in 2000. I mean, it wasn't that you didn't have to take it as serious as you do now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember not remembering 4 whole plays when I was playing.
Oh my gosh.
But even if a kid said they got hit hard in the head, now you're doing the protocol. You're going to go do all the questions and
100%. I remember when we only had to take the concussion course like every few years, you needed to recertify. Here in Oregon, every year we take
every year.
Stroke,
it's here too.
Concussion, first aid and CPR. They used to have you do tackling every year, but now it's once you do it here, you're done pretty much.
The defibrillator, I think that was one, right?
Yeah, that's
that one. You have to learn how to use that. The defibrillator, the heart one.
In Idaho, do you guys have to do, because when I got my certification or whatever, so I could coach in Oregon, do you guys have to do enhancing drugs and like steroids class like that and all that stuff? It's one of the things.
But you mean like the thing the coaches have to do before the season starts?
Yeah.
The videos and all. We have to do.
Yeah.
No, well, like, I want to say to coach in Oregon, you have to take that class no matter what sport you take. Sports enhancement, but you only have to take it one time, and then you're good for your career as a coach.
And I think I had to do something like that, but all these courses like were through the NFS or NHFS, yeah, whatever the association. And I'm sure it's the same exact course we did. We had to do that. I remember the heart one. I remember the heat stroke one, the concussion one. These are all that you have to do now, and rightfully so. I mean, we don't want kids to die.
So we had to do a mental health one too, and I like for suicide and all that, bullying and all that. So I couldn't imagine our coaches having to take something like that.
Yeah, they would be so pissed because they were of the back in the day. They were some of the hugest bullies. I remember
the physical
grabbing your face
mask. I remember a buddy of mine. He was a year older than me and really good offensive line. I ended up playing at Eastern. The one of the assistant coaches, he old school gruffy guy. He was our social studies teacher. Smoked like a chimney. Like we used to actually have a smoking section at our high school, and then after like my sophomore year, they got rid of it. They literally like on school grounds in this common area, this little outside spot in between buildings. There was we called it the hacker section. There was this place where they have the little barrel for their ashes or their cigarette butts. A couple benches out there. All these kids would go out there and smoke in between class or during lunch. And sometimes you have teachers out there smoking with them.
Our teacher could.
And this was back in the early 90s. So back in, and then they finally, they said, no, we can't do that anymore. But anyways, this coach, I loved him. He was a great guy. He played at BYU. He played for Lavelle. Old school guy, defensive guy. The whole Deacon Jones slap the helmet thing. That was like a thing he would do, I guess. He would talk about his days when he played for Lavelle back in the probably in the 60s, I guess, or early 70s, whenever he played. But anyways, he smacked my buddy around. He had done, so we were doing a drill and he false started. And I remember he came up, kicked him in the ass, slapped his helmet like 3 or 4 times, just cussed his ass out. And I'm standing there going, oh, okay. And I was like, okay. And I was like, God, and I was like, God, please don't ever jump. Because but and it was a thing back then. It was like, it wouldn't even be thought of. And now you're going to lose your damn job.
Yeah, man, we had my high school coach my junior year. A kid jumped off sides and he went up to him and just pushed him on his butt, and he got suspended for like I can't even remember, maybe a couple of our games because of it. And we had the assistant be the interim head coach, and then we also like yeah, just you can't do any of that stuff now. Like shoot, our my head coach was John Strolik, who came from Weezer, and some of the stuff he would say to people, like he said
Oh
it
my
to me a
gosh.
couple of times, like, yeah, slower than whale poop to the bottom of the ocean. That's how fast you're moving right now. And we need that to be fast. And I'd just be like, damn, coach, really? I want the faster guys on the team. And what, whale poop to the bottom of the ocean, huh? Okay.
So my offensive line coach would always bet the running back coach that I could beat their running backs in a 40, and they would bet for beer right there on the practice. On practice, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this as
Knowing who your assistant coach was, you might actually know who it is too. We're not going to say who it is right now, but maybe after the show we can talk about it. But it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I want to go up to him one of these days and tell him, you owe me about 25 6-packs because I won that for you throughout the years I played for you.
That's awesome.
But yeah, can you imagine doing that nowadays?
Yeah, right in front of the kids too. Like, I'll bet you a 12-pack.
So done. You'd be so done. It's a kinder, softer coaching now. Like the dynamic is like you can't yell at a kid. You have to talk to them to a way that you're not yelling at them, yelling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to get your point across, and it's also an aggressive sport, and you're trying to get them fired up. And sometimes
it's hard. And I've when I first started, I was kind of like I wanted rah cheer, and I think I've toned it back quite a bit. I'm not, I try to have a normal conversation with them, but at the same time, I'm like, understand that I'm pissed at you. Understand that you screwed up, and you need to understand this. Do you get what I'm saying? Without me actually just going off on them. So those are some things that we've had to change.
I've become very creative, like saying that, getting them to understand that the rectal orifice that I will place my foot in, the water on my knee will quench your thirst if you do not do this right. We've already drilled it 100 times. Why are you doing it wrong? Yeah.
And there's still those coaches that we've had no filter, and we've all been around that one coach. Actually, we all know that coach.
Yeah.
That you'd be on the sideline and he would say something, and you look at him going, okay. I'm like, dude, you realize these are high schoolers, dude. Yeah, you know what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, by the way, it's his birthday today.
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I hit him up and wished him a happy birthday today.
Yeah, coolest dude out there, but no filter.
No filter.
But having somebody that on your team, it was great because everything you thought, he would just say it, and it's like, thank you. I'm not the one that's going to get in trouble.
Exactly.
It's always having one of those coaches on there. It always helps.
We had coaches that would chew also, and when they would yell at you, it was more for baseball than it was football, but when they would yell at you, they're spitting their chew right in your face and all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh God.
Hey, Gonzo, I don't know if you know this. I think Huddy might know this, but here's a funny college story. Spring practice, we're scrimmaging. We're standing on the sideline. I'm a freshman, and I'm standing there, and Barry Sachs at Boise State turns down. He's like, Washington, get in there. And we're all standing around, looking around, going, Washington, get your ass up here. Coach Sachs is going to kill you. And I turned to look to my left, and I'm talking to another freshman. And then all of a sudden, and Barry had to be like 5'8", 5'9", sawed off, crazy D line coach at Boise State, grabs my face mask It's like, God damn it, Washington, why aren't you responding? You don't want to play today? And I'm like, Coach, my last name is Hutchings. Oh, come on, you don't want to play. I should get out there. And I was like, but I'm not. I was trying to help you find Washington.
Yes, I'm
God.
Washington. I'm gone, dude. I'm
Yeah,
on the
today
field.
I am. Today I am.
I think another thing that is really different is how discipline is handled nowadays. Nowadays, the school will handle it, and when I played, the coaches handled it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got caught, we had a buddy got caught chewing, found a can in his locker, and he had to do those terrible threes, like 7 of them a day for a whole week, and he was crying by the time he got back. But they didn't kick him off, they didn't suspend him, but he probably
wish he was.
he learned a lesson more probably than if he would have been.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree with
So
you, Gonzo.
that's
I know a dude that got same scenario, but was in practice, right? So he made him leave practice, go to his locker, get his can, and the entire thing in his mouth. It was like, you want to chew during practice? If you throw up or you stop practicing at any time, everybody's going to have to run for you, and you're going to stand there
Oh
with
my
that chew
God.
in your mouth while they run. And that dude changed so many colors of I don't know what, man. Woo!
But he learned.
Oh yeah, I don't think he ever did it again, but or he got better at hiding it or whatever.
So I want to ask you guys, these drills, some of these drills we talked about. Let's think about the drills that were done. That were these some of these drills, were they productive or they were just for punishment? I mean, so running just to run. I mean, I understand is to, you especially the first part of the year, half the teams haven't done anything all year. They need some conditioning. They need to get there. But how you do it has changed. I think how you get that conditioning in. I think everybody's gotten a little more creative. They're building it into their practice, into their drills, stations where they're learning the footwork, still getting the conditioning. It's not straight up. Today we're going to line up and do, 840s.
Unless you left trash on the bus.
Unless you left trash on the bus, then
Yeah,
so
that's never good.
And there's a difference between using stuff like that for punishment. So
Our bus was clean afterwards.
Oh yeah, it was clean after that. Yeah. Part of the problem though, we went with the girls, and sometimes the girls were worse than the guys.
Our boys clean their stuff,
clean their mess up. So something that was brought up. So at the Jackpot Clinic we do a couple years ago, we had the coaches from Butte County, and they have her own conditioning coach, and this guy was great. I thought he did a really good job talking, and he was talking about how conditioning is not being used the right way. Like, if you're having your conditioning at the end of practice, what are your kids thinking about the entire practice? Conditioning. And do you think you're going to get 100% effort from those kids during drills? No. It's 100%. So you're not going to get them at their full effort, knowing that I know at the end of this, I'm going to have to go run gassers or whatever, So coaches now are trying to build that into whatever drills they're doing. So they're still getting those conditioning in, but they're trying to get something out of it. It's not just run to run. Right. So I think that in itself that's being productive. If you can find ways to use drills to still get your conditioning in, instead of just saying, okay, we're running. So that was something I thought that was kind of interesting, the way to look at it.
In our meeting, it's funny you mentioned that. In our meeting on Friday, we just talked about it. Like, our practice structure is, on a schedule, but the tempo that we go, because we go so fast because we're a spread offense, we go so fast that in between stations, you're expected to sprint to that next station. And then maybe when you get there, the coach will talk to you. So it gives you time to catch your breath for the big guys and stuff, talk you through the drill. Then you go to the drill. But also when we transition from, like, let's say our defensive segment to our offensive segment or portions of it, we do gassers in between. So the kids already know. And the one thing that we did talk about was what you just said was we can't do conditioning at the end of practice, because if we do, we're not getting the most out of the kids, because they're saving themselves, because they know the fastest kid doesn't want to be the slowest. Yeah, so they're saving themselves. So instead of going 100% every play that we're doing and so they're playing like game-like scenarios, they're saving themselves. And then when they're in a real game situation, they're not ready for it because it's faster than they're used to. And so that's one of the reasons that we changed it and put those gassers in between transition periods when we do special teams and we go offense, defense, or even sometimes the head coach will just blow his whistle, sideline, boom, we'll run our gassers, boom, onto the next segment of our practice just to
Nice.
get some conditioning in. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something that I think coaching in general needs to look at how, because I've also been told, we don't want them to correlate running with punishment. We want them to understand running is part of you getting better. If you run those, and you train whatever you're training in whatever sport, that's how you should be running. Okay. Running 3 or 4 miles or taking 10 laps around a field for football, you're not training for cross country. You're not training for soccer where a lot of running is involved. It's short burst, right? It's that 5-10 yards or whatever, those short bursts you need to do. So, that mentality of we're going to run, till you pass out, we're doing a 5-mile run after we just had a 2-hour practice isn't productive. I don't see any reason why that should be happening. And it still happens because, like I said, we have coaches now still that are very old school that have not,
Trying to think if last 2 years have we done any conditioning at the end of practice?
No, we've done contests. So that's the thing that we do.
Make it fun.
We make it fun.
Yeah.
I think if you do that, you trick them into it, and then they want it. Then it's a competition.
Snake on steroids.
So yeah. So we did. That's the thing. You make it a competition. Whatever it is, like, okay, whoever can, we're going to put you on somebody's back, and you got to bear crawl so many yards. Whoever wins, they get to choose whatever. So you built in these conditioning drills, but you do it to make fun. So they're not looking at it as a punishment. They're looking at it as a competition.
Yeah, for sure, man. We do that. We do that stuff too. We'll do a punt catch competition with the linemen, and we'll say that the conditioning is on the line. You guys got to get half of how many ever linemen there are. You got to be able to catch. And some of those guys are pretty athletic dudes, and we're like, all right, now there's no conditioning because they caught 6 of them. 6 of the linemen were able to catch a punt without freaking bouncing off their forehead. We let them take their shells off. They're just in their shirts. There's no gear involved, and all they got to do is field the punt, and it is so fun. And then we'll do competitions like if they can't catch more than the coaching staff, then either the staff has to run or the kids have to run. So then it gets fun because then it gets real competitive because kids want to see our old asses out there like running 40s. Yeah.
Yeah, doing
yeah.
burpees.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
We have an old school style coach that it drives the head man insane because sometimes if the kids aren't paying attention, he'll send them up to the top of this hill, but it's waste time because we're working on a window that's 2 hours at the max because we can't go over it. Now it's you have this much time and you're wasting time by sending kids to run up there or to come back and be goofing off anyway.
And that's instructional time. That's all the thing you could be doing to be getting better. And now they're having to run. So yeah, I get that. So let's talk about the evolution of tackling because that's changed tremendously. It used to be like, you need to get your head in there, head across, all this stuff. And that has changed, and for a good reason, because they were realizing that they're looking at players that have played this sport long enough, by the time they reach 45, 50 years old, after they played in a career from childhood up to, 30, whatever years old in football, that they're having crayons for the rest of their lives because of trauma to their head. So tackling techniques have changed, and the introduction of rugby's been around for a long time, but it led to, instead of head first, get in front, now it's head behind, you're leading with your shoulder. And it's the wrapping and rolling. It's that alligator roll or whatever you want to call it. And
head on.
Yeah.
Face mask.
Yeah. Face mask, everything. You need to get your head in there, and stuff like that. And we've gone away with that. And rightfully, I think this has been a good change. And
I think our officials, though, a little bit have stopped looking for that as much as they used to, because there's teams nowadays that going head first, and
and so is that because of
the coaching?
The coaching,
it is,
because you still got coaches that are on that old school style,
but they're not getting called for it.
Yeah.
You can tell, especially junior high level. Holy crap! When you get coaches that don't know anything they're doing.
Well, think about that most of the coaches are at youth age, and this is not, and we need coaches and people who step up, but think about their background. People are our age or maybe a little bit younger. When they played 15, 20 years ago, what was it then?
Head
Put
on
your
ball.
face mask in somebody's sternum and just run your head through them.
Yeah.
And your body will make the tackle happen. As opposed to now, like you said, we hit with our shoulder back, get our head out of it, and then gator roll them or whatever.
Gator roll 'em.
Hawk roll them or whatever they want to call it.
Right. So yeah, this technique, this evolving of tackling happened, and the Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll, and he was there. He had actually done some studying on this and actually brought in rugby players, like professional rugby players, to teach tackling to these guys. And it did some great things. They went over film study, breakdown technique, and it shifted this coaching philosophy from the head first to body control and leverage.
Well, I watched, when was the Summer Olympics? 2 years ago?
The last one.
When they
had 2024. It was this.
Yeah, I watched the women's rugby
last year. Yeah.
And those girls,
man,
knocking the crap out of each other, but they never were.
Yeah, they kept their head out.
They didn't hurt their heads. They didn't hurt their necks.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
I think one of the biggest things about rugby, the advantage of learning how to rugby tackle, is because per their rules, you can't leave your feet. So those are feet on the ground, solid tackles, and there's big hits in that. And like if you could teach it, I think it's a great thing for our sport for footballs to learn how to tackle like that. For one, it takes your head out of it, puts your shoulder into it, and now you can throw your body into it. And because back in the day, what was it? Sacrifice your body for the team.
Yep.
Who's the wedge buster? Just go in there head first as a missile and just hit everybody.
Yeah.
I remember if you had paint.
Yeah.
If you had paint on your helmet.
That was like a warrior marking.
Yeah, the coaches would, look at your helmet.
We played Hermiston. We got a little yellow from their mask on there. We played. We played Redmond. We got a little bit of red. Red on there. It's like, you wanted that, one of those colors. You wanted those at the end of the year. Your whole helmet, the front of your helmet's like covered, and that's changed, and you don't really have that much anymore. And it's a good thing because, like I said, it's head trauma. And I had an experience, and I think, I don't know if I've shared it with you guys, but when I coached that one spring football at Eastern, and I think I've told you the story, there was a player on the team during spring ball, he died, and I was one of the coaches. Yeah. So it was at Eastern. So this would have been the spring, I think, before I moved here. So this would have been 2012, I think is when it happened. So Dylan Stigler was his name. Okay. So I had a class with this kid. So I was taking a football class, and this kid was there. He was a transfer from the University of Montana. He was actually from Missoula area, and he had come down to go to Eastern, had a kid back in Montana with a girlfriend still there. And I remember talking to him because he sat right in front of me, and we had really good, super nice kid. And it was our spring ball, and it was the last day of ball, and they invite the families to come, and they have a scrimmage and everything, offense versus defense, the teams going against each other. And a play happened, and in the play, this running back from the Boise area, I can't remember his name, Armra, I always remember his, anyways, strong kid, like he had thighs on him, just massive, and he was a running back. He came through the line. Dylan played DB, and he was coming in to make a tackle. And when he came down to make a tackle, the running back's knee came up and caught him on the side of the head. And he went out. And he was concussed. So, he kind of, he was out, kind of walked off on his own power, but you could tell he was, he got his world rocked. And I remember before that game, though, when we had all the parents out there on the field, kind of having a little talking session, and he actually come over, brought his daughter over, and I got to meet his daughter, his little two, I think daughter was like 2 at the time, and brought his girlfriend over and everything. And Then that was it. And then, we were right at the end of practice. We were done in practice. Everybody went home. And then my mom, I don't know, she didn't have a scanner, but somebody else that she knew had a scanner and said something about a football player getting life flighted to Boise. And so I called the OC. I had his number. Coach Tinker. I called him up. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, Zach.
Yeah,
you know him?
Tink? Oh
Yeah. Yeah, he's at Oregon, right? I think he's at Oregon
yeah.
still. Yeah, I think he's one of the assistants. Anyways, he was the OC. So Tinker was the OC at the time. And anyways, I called him and he was like in with the parents on the way over. And so I'll tell you later. Anyways, got to the hospital and he had passed away. He had died.
Wow. No good.
And dude, that for me personally, I looked at especially head injuries a whole other way. Because I was always like, yeah, okay, you got a concussion, you'll be fine, And I understood the protocol because we kind of had the protocol. It wasn't like we had to ask questions, but if we saw a kid out, like we knew he was concussed, we knew we had to keep him out. And that hit me so hard, and it hit our entire team. I mean, all those guys, the coaching staff, all the players. It was rough. I still, anytime I still have flashbacks. Anytime I see a kid hurt, I'm just like, God, please, it's still burned in my mind about, and so, we had a funeral service up in Montana for him. The whole team, we took 2 buses up, like we were traveling to a game, and, went up to Missoula.
We talk about getting on our kids and yelling at our kids. It's probably the only time I really get on them is if they're doing tackling drills and not doing it the right way,
not
or
being safe.
Not being safe. My biggest fear is not to be able to have them walk off the field the same way they walked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's crazy. I have a guy I told you that went to U of I. He coached in California for a little while, and he was coaching middle school football. And he told me a story why he stopped coaching, kind of like the same story, Huddy. He had this kid, great kid, leader in the school, leader on the football team, had a bright future. I think he was coaching 8th grade football. Kid's randomly riding his bike without a helmet, crashes his bike, hits his head on a culvert, and it changed. He said it just affected him because when I was in Mountain Home all the time, he was a stud D lineman up at U of I, and I tried to always get him to come. And then when he told me that, and I was like, I'll never ask again, dude. When you're ready, you come. He said it just mentally, it was just like the kid that you would think would go as far as whatever his aspirations are. You
Right.
lose him on a freak accident of riding his bike. It wasn't even football related, but he was a football player, and just that type of anytime you lose an athlete, no matter what sport it is, or any kind of young kid, it's traumatic and it's devastating to your program. It's devastating to the community. And he said he didn't want to coach anymore, and then after that, I understood why he didn't want to coach anymore because I couldn't imagine losing a kid. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it was just one of those freak things. So the whole how tackling has evolved, it has to be done that way. And in anybody who has this old school mentality, it's like you don't understand that there is long-term repercussions if kids or anybody taking headshots way too much.
And it has to be a daily.
Yeah. No, and it's a daily thing too. You need to have a daily, every day you need to do tackling.
We do tackling, form
tackling, all that stuff. That has to become a thing. So, that's obviously why this happened, because the CTE research and awareness came a lot. Lawsuits were happening, liability, and one of the reasons why football has kind of gone down and don't have anybody playing much anymore is because of the fear of head injuries. I mean, obviously that's not the only sport that has it. I mean, the concussions in soccer and everything else.
Basketball concussions, coaching. I've had football.
Yeah, well, not just a concussion. I've seen more severe injuries on a basketball court than I've ever seen in football. I've seen some nasty ones in football, but a grass is more forgiving than the hard court. I remember, I think it was at a basketball court that had a very short on the baseline, and you have the wall.
It's every school in Oregon.
Yeah. And it was in Oregon. School. And this kid had just put their leg up to kind of brace themselves and like snap their leg. And, and And I remember watching it was a volleyball game at Eastern, and this girl went to dig, and these two girls collided. And this one girl rolled up on this girl's lower part of her leg, and the knee or the foot dislocated. And it was like, and it stayed there in that position. And I just looked at that like, oh man, she's rolling around. I'm like, oh damn.
That's when I say, Huddy, get over here and look at this guy, would you? I have to go over here for a sec.
and then one of the more nasty ones we saw was middle school. Jace yeah, it was Jace. And I remember
I was at a funeral.
So you had left to go to a thing, and so we had the eighth game. It was the eighth graders and then the seventh graders played, right?
Yep.
No, wait, no, I'm sorry. It was seventh graders and eighth graders.
Eighth graders played first all the time.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, because they wanted to make sure they finished the game before the JV.
Right.
They wanted to finish a complete game.
So I remember you were there. We did that game, and then we were doing the other. And that team overall wasn't that great anyways. I mean, great kids, but really talent-wise compared to the other teams that we coached there in Gooding in the middle school, this was just great kids just didn't really have
they weren't football players.
They weren't. And so a play had happened, and there wasn't enough players on the field. One of our linemen was not out there, and he turned around, and he's over there. His dad's this is a pet peeve of mine. A dad's talking to him in the stands. He's turned around and like not on the field. Run the play, and he gets tattooed. And what happened was he had put his arm down, and his forearm went 90 degrees, like snapped, and it was like in a 90-degree shape. And yeah, it was a bad one. And so
you and CJ and Metcalf.
Was it Metcalf?
Yeah.
Or Chance?
Maybe it was Chance.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, but I remember just going, oh no, it was Metcalf. Because I remember we had this all, so we had the game stopped and everything, and I was out there, and we were fortunate enough, we had like 2 or 3 parents that were doctors or nurses at medical. We didn't have, it was a middle school game, so we didn't have an ambulance there.
Logan's dad.
So yeah, he was out there, and so trying to, and I said, well, maybe we should give him water. And I remember Dr. Anderson saying, no, he says, don't do that just in case I have to have surgery. You don't want to give him any kind of fluids right now. So he's just laying there in shock with his arm in 1 degree. And I remember, and this is like a mentality thing too, because I've seen broken bones and everything, dislocation and stuff like that. But I turn around and I see half of our team bawling, crying. These 7th, 8th grade boys are out there, and they're tears in their eyes, and they're just bawling because they were freaked out. They saw this. And I remember going, why? I'm like, why the hell are you guys crying? I'm like, and I was just like, and then I was like, go take him to the end zone or something, so they don't have to be around this, I guess. So yeah, that was a pretty brutal one. Yeah. But broken bones, heal and stuff, and then that stuff happens. So, anyways, yeah. So that's, anybody got any other thoughts on tackling that we want to talk about, or any other changes that we've seen? Any thoughts? Anybody? Think we covered it?
I think we covered it. Yeah, I think so.
All right. So I'm going to save for next time. I'm going to save the mental part of it, because I think that'd be a really good topic. We talk about the mental aspect of this. I'll save that for our next another episode. I do want to, however, get into our final segment. We're going to talk about our mascot. Okay. All right. This time, like we did the last episode, we talked about the trash pandas. Okay. We're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. All right. Anybody have any idea what the Albuquerque's it's a AAA team. Anybody have an idea what their mascots are? How many people watch this? Either one of you guys watch The Simpsons? T, did you ever watch The Simpsons? Okay. What's the name of their baseball team? You remember? What is it? Remember?
No.
Where does Homer work? Well, you were close. What'd you say?
Isotopes.
Albuquerque is the Isotopes. So a little thing on New Mexico, on Albuquerque. Okay, real quick. Population, it's the biggest city in New Mexico, 908,000. It's growing steady, 1-2% a year. 5-year growth projected to be 7.2 compared to the national average. So there's a lot of people moving there. Albuquerque enjoys blue skies, sunny, 310 days out of the year, kind of like Denver claims to be like one of the sunniest spots. Great for outdoor enthusiasts because you got the mountains. They have concert festival. City spans 187 square miles, elevation ranging from 4,500 feet up to 6,500 feet above sea level. Their breakfast burrito originated from Albuquerque during the International Balloon Fiesta in the 70s. The official New York State question is red or green. And this is referring to their red or green chili when you order Mexican food. And if you want both types of chilies, you call it Christmas. I want the Christmas. Albuquerque will celebrate its 300th birthday in 2006. So here is the story of how Albuquerque got their mascot, and it originates from The Simpsons. So in a 2001 episode of The Simpsons, the title was Hungry, Hungry Homer. Homer discovers the Springfield Isotopes, a local minor league team, and secretly moving to Albuquerque. The art imitation of life. Fast forward 1 year, the Calgary Cannons, AAA affiliate team, relocates to Albuquerque. The team name is voted upon by the fans, overwhelmingly choose Isotopes, referring to The Simpsons. This is what's nice. Fox or The Simpsons, the creators of Simpsons, instead of like asking for money or royalties, they loved it. They're like, they embraced it. They said, this is really cool. And they did real Isotopes, now have merch that is sold worldwide. They included the Simpson fans who have never seen a baseball game. The atomic mascot is named Orbit. It's a bizarre atomic particle with a face. The stadium even includes nods to the show and fictional Springfield team. So yeah, I thought it was kind of cool.
That is
so
cool.
The Albuquerque Isotopes. Okay. I would like to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. T, great to hear from you.
Good to see you or talk to you again.
Yeah, we will get together again. Yep. So Coach Gonzo, appreciate having you here back again. It's nice to see your face again. So for everybody out there, we appreciate you listening. Please, support us any way you can. Shows are showing up on YouTube. So if you want to get on YouTube and watch the videos, we are on all podcast platforms, Amazon to iTunes to Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're there. So love to hear from you. Anyways, everybody take care. Have a good night. All right.